An illusion so large it will escape their perception, and those who will see it will be thought of insane. We'll create separate fronts, they won't see our connection. We'll show no liaison, that's how we'll behave. One drop at a time, never bringing suspicion. Prevent them from seeing the changes occur. Secretly silent, advancing our mission. An invisible weapon, a dark saboteur. We'll weaken their minds, keep their lifespan short. With metals in foods, in the water and air. An organized, multi-pronged, heavy assault. We'll be incognito so no one's aware. We'll blanket with poisons and they'll lose their minds. We'll promise a cure, more poisons we'll give. Destroying the systems of all of mankind. Making it harder and harder to live. Slowly, surely, never stop. Step by step, drop by drop.
Bound by blood, our secret covenants. Bound by blood, our secret brotherhood. Bound by blood, our secret governance. Keep them blind to the hidden hand. Bound by blood, our secret covenants. Bound by blood, our secret brotherhood. Bound by blood, our secret governance. Death will come if you speak of our plan.
More sickness and
No, I don't at all. It tells you sea level.
Yes, sea level.
Everything is in work.
And everything we can see
The
is level.
firmament, everything,
Yeah,
everything
yeah.
inside the dome.
Yeah, it's all.
Firmament.
How long have you known?
I never really questioned it. It was just like, you know, when COVID happened, and I started to just question everything, and then I looked about the resets that we've had, reset after reset
Yeah.
after reset, and we're just about to come up to another reset.
Yeah.
This is a reset of, I think it's called like natural selection.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah.
It's in, I think, I'm not chosen because, well, we are chosen because we are from God. You know,
Yeah.
I've done enough magic mushrooms and DMT
Yeah.
and babufo, and I've just done Cambo.
Really?
I've just done Cambo the other day.
Wow.
And I vomited all
Purge.
traumas out.
Yeah,
of
yeah,
me.
yeah, yeah.
So, yeah,
I did DMT in 2015. That was my gateway.
changed my life.
Yeah,
Changed
yeah,
my life.
yeah,
It
yeah.
stopped me from drinking.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Same with
I
me.
haven't
Yeah.
drank for 4 years
Yeah.
since that. I'll never drink again. And it just led me on. It found me, like God is within us.
Yes, yes.
God is within us.
Yes.
And
Or I even go a little bit possibly further that say we are God expressing
Yeah,
itself
yeah.
in a fractal
Yeah.
of the whole.
do you know why? Because God can.
Yeah, yeah.
Because He can, and that's
Yeah.
a good enough answer.
Yeah.
You don't need to go all down the religious
Yeah,
route,
yeah, yeah,
like
yeah,
that,
yeah, yeah.
Because religion means to tie back or to hold back.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
To constrain, and that is to limit
and
what
Christ
we are.
was crucified in Golgotha, meaning under the skull.
Place of the skull, yeah.
Matthew said, or one of them, John said, I met God face to face, and I named the place Neil.
Yeah, yeah.
It's all there in front
It's
of
all
us.
there. Do you want to take my flyer?
I believe you anyway. That's
Yeah. Well, I have a YouTube channel. You might want to follow it
Oh, really?
if you do watch YouTube. Darren Nesbitt and I became mates back in 2017, 18 when we were like hard on the flat Earth kind of thing. So
There's a lot more.
there's a lot more of us around today.
Yeah, people question everything.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But it's in there. People will pay good money for the truth now. This is why you're going to see the whole of fucking Hollywood go to. Well, it was all over, isn't it? The
Yeah.
whole thing about the adrenochrome and
Yeah, yeah.
drinking kids' blood, and never just thought of anything. But
It's
we
awful.
are divine.
Yeah, we are.
From the divine.
We are. An expression of the divine, indeed.
Yeah, and because He can.
Yeah.
No, it's not He.
It, maybe.
Whatever it is.
Yeah. Yeah, it's beyond
To
what
me,
we.
it comes as a purple
yeah,
woman.
but it's you know, it's like just like black and white. It doesn't have to, you know, we got black and white skin here, but that won't be how, you know, skin or gender or all these things are not. It's everything. So it can't be one or the other, male or female.
Yeah. There is no death.
No, absolutely.
That's just the
You know that,
starting
yeah.
of-
Yeah. This is it. Is it a test? Are we coming up for a test? Do you think? You know.
What a test? I'm going for my own test.
Yeah.
The way to change the world, I'm not going to be able to change the world. You have to change yourself.
Michael Jackson. If you want to make the world a better place, take a look at yourself and make that change.
For the world to change, you have to change.
Yeah.
And to stop drinking and smoking and
all the materialism, all of that.
Yeah.
You know, or have it in balance. Because I say to people, you know, I wouldn't want to suggest becoming Puritan, or saying to my daughter or son, you know, you can never drink alcohol because it's bad for you. It's more like you've come here as a child to learn lessons, and your lessons were, I'm going to get drunk, I'm going to hurt myself, I'm going to learn that was a mistake, and I'm not going to do that again.
The word alcohol, body, entering spirit.
Spirit, yeah.
Alcohol.
El cool, yeah.
El cool.
El cool.
It's all there.
I'm Dave.
But it's meant to. Is it a test? No, it's because Doc can do whatever he wants to do, and because he likes this.
Yeah.
Everything's perfect.
Yeah. So the tricks, all the deception, all of that, it's on purpose.
Yeah, to make you wake up, because Doc can do it.
Yeah, to put you through a test. Because if I said I'm going to get you to run 10k tough mudder or 10 mile tough mudder, you go like, okay, can I just get in a car and go to the end? I'd be like, then what's the point? You need to run the hard race, and you need to feel the pain. And if you don't make it this time, try again next time.
If everything was the same, there'd be no purpose to it. It has to be. It is the way it is because God likes it that way.
And it's a state of entropy. It's a moving of energy from one state to another. And so as we move from one state to another, there's going to be chaos in order to move to, you know, you need to go through the black hole. You need to be pulled apart and then reconstructed, both the world and you individually.
I was pulled apart. Yeah. My life's changed now, and I'm blessed for who I am.
Awesome. What's your name?
Richard.
I'm Dave. Nice to meet you, Richard.
For who I am.
Awesome. Let me just finish this off, Richard.
Definitely the earth.
Thanks, brother. Hey, mate.
All right,
Is this yours?
No, I don't know who's
Kieran's.
I was Kieran's.
Oh, all right. It's just kind of covering mine now.
Oh,
But I wonder if we could maybe just shovel it a little bit that way. That's more than good enough. Yeah, thanks, man. Cool. I guess you guys probably knew in March 2020 that this was a hoax.
oh yeah.
Right from the get-go.
Yeah, definitely.
Wasn't hard, was it?
Definitely.
Wasn't hard.
So it was not, no.
Wasn't rocket science.
Breeze in the park. I breezed in the park.
Just join up the dots.
Oh, it was very easy, yeah.
You know, right brain thinking. We live in a left brain world.
yeah.
Program left brain thinking.
that's right.
And the funny thing is that the original programming that they used, you'll remember back in end of 2019, they showed us videos of people in China just falling dead in the street, right? That's happening now.
Preempting.
That's
But that's
happening
happening over real.
Yeah, now.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
because of what we did in 2021.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. That's true.
Extraordinary. I haven't seen, like you probably have yourself, extraordinary behaviour from these people.
Yeah.
They ought to be ashamed of themselves.
Psychology. You watch the psychology of all these people.
Yeah, it's
Look the way they act.
incredible. Me and my brother got attacked here, went shopping in Keith here. We wouldn't go around the one-way directions.
Yeah.
We just lived our life, didn't we, Keith?
Police
Police
and all
ridiculous
that.
got
information.
grassed up and everything. I think they did again there. They're not playing by the rules. The rules.
Showed you though very clearly how deeply our community or our society has been brainwashed.
Brainwashed.
Programmed. Yeah, and that we are so
Absolutely.
far.
Mass psychosis.
Yeah,
Mass formation.
mass formation, psychosis.
Exactly,
And
exactly
that's
that.
what we saw then, demonstrated, practiced for something more that's coming down the track.
Absolutely, yeah. There is something more coming.
I was coming.
This is just
Because they've got to destroy the economy. Because they're moving away now from this economy, aren't they? This present economy, moving to more like this international rules-based order.
Yeah.
Which is new rule.
Yeah.
The Great Reset, built on total surveillance, digitalisation,
Technocracy
technocracy.
ruling everything. and
Bureaucrats have
man-
never seen a ballot box in their whole lives.
Yeah.
Making all decisions. Well, I didn't vote for them. I didn't vote for any of this.
It's the same. It's the same when we talk about mass immigration. It's really a hoax because what it is, they're creating digital borders, and they want to be tracked by
It
biometrics.
gives them the ultimate,
Digital borders.
gives the ultimate position where they can problem.
It gives them an excuse.
So you create the
Reaction
problem,
solution.
get the reaction. Also, must be done after the solution. Digital IDs.
Which
Reaction problem solution.
the digital borders are an extension of the borders that they've already created. England, Scotland, Wales, France. These borders were the first stage of segregating us.
That's right.
And this is like the next
That's
level
right.
of
The
it.
next level is
devolution.
Biometrics, the tracking of the
And
biometrics.
devolution,
Everything monitored.
devolution, where the country's going to be broken into 6 segments. The country will be run by metro mayors to push the decarbonisation, the green
right.
agenda balance.
Your digital car will tell you
Yes,
that you've
that's
travelled
it.
enough miles this month. You can't go
Exactly.
any further.
You've got to shut you down.
You've got to
Yeah,
Shut you down. If you haven't got enough social credits,
Yeah.
well, they'll shut you down.
No, not enough eggs. Sorry, you've had 12 eggs this month. No more eggs for you. No more meat for you.
And also, I have
No holidays either.
No holidays.
Or only one a year, you know.
Yeah.
However many.
Yeah. And they're already, by the way, interestingly enough, I've heard that they're already penalising parents in some schools where the children are off for
Massive.
more than, say, 5 or 10 days
Yes,
in the year
yes,
or
they're
whatever.
doing this, they're doing
They're
that.
actually penalising them.
They're
Taking
doing
them out of
that.
school on holiday.
Yes,
Yeah, they'll
yes.
penalise you.
The schools have become prison camps for children. They have to be programmed into a system,
Well, they already are.
which is a hoax and a fake.
The schools are an extension of the military-industrial complex, in my opinion. They are already creating.
Indoctrination.
Yeah,
You don't go
the
there to
sausages
be
come out.
educated, you go there to be programmed.
The unquestioned
University and
University,
college.
one verse, everybody singing from the same hymn sheet.
destroy critical thinking, and push them towards to being the ultimate system service.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Oh, we obey, we obey.
Yeah, and living in a digital world, almost entirely, trapped by a digital world rather than being free in a natural world. So it's the complete opposite of what nature
Complete
or
opposite.
God intended.
That's right. That's
anti-human.
Yeah.
Anti-human.
Anti-God, therefore.
Transhumanism.
Yeah, transhuman. That maybe even we can only survive if we take the needle or we take implants,
That's right. That's
which
right.
might be the future.
That's where all this AI is
Technology,
going.
yeah.
So we're all connected to that.
Yeah,
They're the
yeah.
clouds.
Yeah.
And then low orbit satellites.
They'll be monitoring your thinking.
NHS are now offering AI counselling, like
Really?
therapy.
There you go.
Wow.
Therapy. Brainwashing.
Wow.
That's what they want. Everyone eventually to be connected to that cloud up there.
Yes.
So all the things by that.
Yes. So even your thoughts might be monitored.
Everything. But like
Certainly
19
already with Facebook.
There was
If you
a-
say something on Facebook,
1984 Georgia, where you read his book, right?
yeah.
There was a guy,
Yeah.
I don't know if it was a TED talk, but he was saying, we've got this new chip that we can put in people's brains for workers. Like if you're an employer, you give it to your workers, and you can know what they're thinking and whether they're concentrating. And he just said it like it was nothing.
How mad
Well,
at
what they found out now
I'm mad
is,
at that.
what they found out now is that they use the equal pay claim to drive down wages and terms and conditions, and there's no equal pay claim. And now the union are asking them to provide the evidence, and they walked out the other day.
He's a binman.
There's no evidence.
He's a binman.
Binman.
I
He's
thought
got
he'd be mad about
£4,000 a year out of his salary.
8,000.
Whoa.
8,000.
What?
Out of his salary. That's what it's all about, the strike here. It's not about going on strike for more, they're fighting for the livelihood.
Keep us current conditions.
Wow, that's crazy.
But it's all part of this devolution,
Yeah.
this decarbonisation. What they're doing is they're restructuring the service to meet the decarbonisation and the climate change hoax.
Which is a hoax, yeah. Of course it's a hoax.
It's manufactured.
Of course it's a hoax. All man-made, yeah. And of course chemtrails and all of that are playing their part.
It's all built around computer modelling, like COVID was.
Robbing us of power because there is so
Yes.
much natural resource, there's so much energy in the earth, even free energy like Tesla
Exactly.
said,
We should be free. Everything should be free.
everything should be-
Everything should be. Tesla said that, Nikola Tesla.
They'd shut him down.
And they brainwashed him. and
Shut him down, mate.
He
They killed him.
He died penniless in a hostel in Los Angeles.
Took him out.
They shut him down,
Yeah.
And they stole all his secrets. The man was a genius.
Anybody who talks truth to power will pay the price of their lives.
George Orwell's surname was Blair, right?
Yes.
Is he Blair, right?
I think he was a Blair, and you heard.
No, I mean, he's a sergeant, wasn't he?
Sorry?
Was he a sergeant?
Yeah, he was
actually.
actually.
Oh, really?
Something like that.
He's a sergeant.
Yeah, he was actually.
Well, and of course they've discovered that all American presidents bar one are related to King John of England. Yeah, so all of them bar one. Not even Obama is related. So it's all a bloodline or bloodlines that are being given levers of
They
power,
only keep within the
working for something else.
And the occults always encourage people to marry into the bloodlines. But people need to understand and realise is that governments, political parties, all for aeons in history and time have never done anything for the betterment of humanity. It's a uniparty state, and it always will be. It always will be. Nothing ever changes. The life that we live in is a conspiracy. It's the same. This is not reality. This world that we live in. It's a conspiracy. It's a deceit. It's fraud.
Yes. Well, it's a virtual reality.
It's a virtual reality.
Because they've created a reality that is not real. You believe that you are a white man, middle class or working class man in England, and the government or the Queen or the whatever is your master, and that you are meant to pay taxes, and that your enemy is a Frenchman, an Irishman maybe, and all of these things, or a Yorkshireman or whatever.
That's what they've done. That's what they've done. Quantum physics states reality doesn't exist until you look at it.
Yeah,
It doesn't exist until you look at it.
Yeah.
You get 20, 40 snapshots per second. The brain is a biological computer. Feeds information to the
Is it
eyes.
24 frames per second?
Something like that.
Yeah, my
40,
7-year-old son
something
taught
like
me that the other day.
That's how many snapshots. So you're downloading the information as you're going along. Reality doesn't exist.
You're a processor, aren't you? That's what you're a
I saw that on
processor.
DMT. I took DMT in 2015, and I could see that everything that we see as material is actually just light.
It's matter.
It's all frequency. It's all
It's all
vibration.
vibrations.
And you've got a decoder in your brain
correct.
that interprets these things as hard, metal, skin,
It's
grass.
solidified, but it's not really. It's energy. It's all
Yeah,
consciousness.
it's all energy.
It's
And a perfect example of that is to take a pile of firewood and burn it, and in the morning you've got 100 kilos of wood reduced to a few grams of ash.
That's right.
And all that left was heat or light. All that left was heat and light, and 100 kilos is gone.
Maybe they should start teaching the children that in schools.
Yeah.
The truth.
Well, they never want us to know the truth because then you would have the power. They do
right.
not want you to have the power. So they want to say, you need me, I am your master, you need to believe in my religion, you need to believe in my state of government, blah, 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 or the state of affairs here. And as we saw in COVID, the majority believe in the state of affairs.
Utopian vision, which is a multiculturalism, and always like, oh my God.
Yeah, I mean, I'm for people being free to move wherever they want, but the reason why people are moving like they do is because we've destroyed, or their economy is destroyed. Because most of us want to live near our home, maybe near the beach, but we want to live near our home. And so we don't choose. Most people, if you ask them honestly, if I gave you $1 million, $10 million bucks, would you go and live back home?
Like none of my Polish friends, I call them economic migrants. Because their economy in Poland's absolutely.
And that's what we see with Jamaicans or Africans or whatever. Even in South Africa, they got migrants coming from, they got people coming from Zimbabwe, from other southern African countries, because South Africa has got more opportunity. So naturally they're going to go there, leave their family.
My friend Alu is from Zimbabwe. So they pick your line, mate. Big time for other things about Zimbabwe.
And there in Zimbabwe, in South Africa, the black people do not like the Zimbabwean black people because they see them as a threat to their
They told me that. They still told me it's quite bad there.
Yeah.
It's still quite bad.
Well, they had a dictator for years, didn't they?
So we can easily create enmity between people who look the same, but we're doing it through economics. So a Polish person or in Scandinavia, someone in Europe looks similar to us, but they might have a very different kind of reason for being here than we do. Same in Africa.
Absolutely.
Same in Africa. And so it's like I've come to your village and I've created poverty in your village. So that's meant that guys are hard up. You've got gangsterism going on, people thugging each other, and going to the next village, the neighbouring village that's thriving, and stealing from the neighbouring village. I've created that environment.
It's like Birmingham City Council now stealing off me.
Yeah, stealing off you,
Oh yeah.
£8,000.
Yeah, we are intentionally being put under financial and other sorts of duress.
COVID was about.
Because with that,
COVID destroyed the economies in the second world and the third world, and then they all go, oh, we've got to go somewhere where it led us. So they all come here. So people who say, they need to come here, they deserve to come here because their life is shit back there. But the reason it's shit back there is because of what we've done. And because of our global
being like
experience.
the system, being like the banking cartels and mega corporations, the mining companies that, the European mining companies, for example, or Chinese mining companies, for example, who go in and rip the value of the natural resources, or say decimate the country's ability to feed itself by going, okay, we're going to just support coffee industry in your country. All the other industries are going to die off, so we can make most money out of coffee. Now you guys have to buy your meat and other things from another economy, but you'll do that all through our system of trading, dollar, blah, 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 blah. So, yeah, we don't have control anymore in the system. But yeah, they've shown us that. They've proven that we are going to go along with, the people are going to go along with, and you see it, the majority will just, even though terrible things, and millions of people are talking about the harms that COVID did to them.
Yeah, I've seen a bit of right.
Yeah.
Go over there, yeah.
Nice to talk to you.
Yeah, same.
See you again.
Cheers.
Yeah. Despite that, people are just wanting to continue keeping Disneyland alive.
Great.
Likewise,
meeting you.
Likewise, brother. All the best. Cheers.
Yeah, they want normalcy. They want to pretend everything's normal.
Yeah.
Just keep going.
Yeah. Don't tell me it's fake. Don't tell me Santa Claus isn't real. I just want to have next Christmas. Let me believe that he's real and he's coming.
And I think people are too busy as well. They get up at 7 in the morning, go to work, get home, and by the time they got home, they're just knackered.
Yeah.
And they just want to sleep the whole evening.
Yeah.
And then they haven't got time to do it. They haven't got time to do anything. They haven't got time. I think this is why COVID woke a lot of people up.
Yeah.
Because everyone had time to do something.
Agreed.
And everyone started going, something's off about this. And they started looking on their computer, and they had 6 months to do that. Whereas before they'd just be stuck at home, only to relax. And a lot of the kids.
A lot of people said that. That's where it woke me up, because I had time to look at things anew, rather than having 2 hours in the evening after dinner to kind of watch the news and.
Yeah,
and
you're
watch
never going to learn what's going on if you're going to have that much time.
And also, the weirdness of being put in a lockdown for the first time in living memory, or for something that people were healthy. Most people were kind of going around kind of healthy. There's a few sick people and some weird, strange anomalies in the death area, but nothing as bad as what's going on now.
No.
Truthfully, and yet, yes, people just want the game to continue. Or
if you look at like the main bulk of the deaths in 2020, in April 2020, most of them were on protocols that were absolutely ridiculous. I mean, they were the worst thing you could do in the case of a respiratory disorder.
Nudge people off the edge.
And if they're really old, a lot of them were. It doesn't take a lot to knock you off the edge. And maybe they were suffering with COVID anyway.
Yeah.
But if you add that on top, it's going to put them over the edge.
Yeah.
And they couldn't see anyone of their family. They couldn't even see their own carer.
Such a shock to the system that could also push you over the edge.
Yeah, I mean, one of the evolutionary reasons that some biologists think that humans live so old is so that they can pass their knowledge to their children, so their children are more likely to survive.
Right.
So if you're not around your children, then your body's telling you, I'm not needed, and you shut down.
Wow.
And there's a guy, I forget his name, but he's written a book called The Indoctrinated Brain.
Okay.
He wrote it about a year ago, and it's all about COVID. And he talks about how his theory is that a lot of people died because they were neglected.
Yes.
And just left alone with no one. They couldn't even see their carer. They had a mask on.
Yeah. And even just breathing in a mask is reducing your quality of air.
Yeah, and it's stressful.
Yeah. So, and stress kills people.
Yeah.
So we're certain that the actions that they took, the vibration, the fear that they put into the collective, probably caused a certain spiking in the death rate and the actions, as you said, in the medical field.
But when they put the figures out, they say 100 people died today or whatever. Well, how do they know what they died of? They could have died in part because of your decisions to scare everyone out of their mind and lock them indoors, and of course everyone would start drinking more alcohol, not exercising as much. They start eating worse. It's all going to make things like it doesn't have to be a virus. People will get ill from it.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, I saw a graphic that showed World Health Organization numbers for flu worldwide. And it was around 40 million per year. And then goes to 0.1 million in that year because they just reclassified flu. So, well, we know this.
But it was hard. It'd be hard to distinguish between flu and COVID anyway.
And lots of people who tested, the test was a joke. So they tested positive. Like,
so if you test positive and you've got symptoms, but they're not, they're similar, but they're not COVID, then how is anyone going to question that? They're just going to go, well, I must have COVID then.
Some people are like, I felt fine and I tested positive. Some people like, I had a scratchy throat, I tested positive.
Oh yeah.
Not like I'm lying, dying. But some people did get a bad flu. I don't take away from that, but I know that much more harm has been done on purpose.
I think none of us really know what really happened.
No.
I don't think the government knows. I don't think. Well, some people might know in the government.
I
but-
disagree. I think that Event 201 showed us that they were planning it.
Yeah, but I mean, what I mean is, I don't know how much, because some people will say that, like he says, the virus doesn't exist at all.
Yeah, Daz. The other guy.
Yeah, the other one. And I'm like, well, we don't really know. I couldn't tell you. It's
I sit
too
on the
complicated.
fence. I sit
Yeah,
on
I'm
the
on the
fence
fence
between
as well,
hi,
I'm on the
Julie.
Can I come and say hello?
I wanted to come and. Yeah, I was only 100 kilometers away. I thought I'll come.
Right, so I can't
Yeah. Let me just finish this and then we'll talk.
Okay, I'm just going to.
All right, I'm coming. So.
Yeah, I'm on the fence as well. I'm on the fence.
So because I think that both terrain and germ theory have valid elements to them. So rather than saying, okay, it can only be one and not the other, I keep both on the table and say it could be a combination of the two. But it's not so clearly one or the other that you can exclude one or the other. Because if germ theory was rock solid, it wouldn't be a theory.
Maybe something new altogether that we haven't really thought of.
Well, my wife and I particularly like the idea of energetics. That is, we live inside an energetic realm, and the frequency in that, just like if we were listening to an orchestra, if the frequency changes on one instrument, you will notice it.
Yeah.
And so the frequency of the Earth goes through changes, and so it may be that there was a frequency shift. Like the Schumann resonance measures this. Like there's a frequency that the Earth is giving off all the time, but it fluctuates. And so maybe there was a change in the frequency, and that's what caused a spike, and they knew that was coming. That's just one of my theories. And obviously there's the bioweapon and all of that lab leak stuff and stuff like that. And to me, it's too easy and it's too like mainstream.
I think they cover that story a lot because it takes away from what happened. Because in my opinion, whether it came from a lab, whether it came from nature, it doesn't matter that much. What they did because of it is what matters, you know.
Well,
the lockdowns and all that. But
they must have planned all along to develop a bioweapon to inject into the population. I think that it wasn't like COVID happened and they're like, oh, this is an opportunity to put mRNA technology into everybody. No, the plan for mRNA goes back 20, 30 years, maybe more, and that there was always this agenda to get to a point where you could excite people enough, fear them enough,
well,
that they would
it's
play
interesting
along.
that the two vaccines that got withdrawn were the old type.
Right.
So I reckon they set them up and they said, we're going to get you, AstraZeneca and Johnson & Johnson, we're going to get rid of you.
Yeah.
We're going to make sure that your vaccine gets taken off. Because then we can say, it's mRNA that's the future.
Yes.
We have to go with mRNA.
And you've seen Donald Trump come and announce on his first full day in office that his 500 billion trillion or something.
Yeah, 500 billion. Yeah.
That they're going to spend on on mRNA technology, or a database or a system that can drive this.
I think Cambridge. I think they built a factory, a Moderna factory, and in Australia they've got a big one as well. And they're going up all over the place.
Yes. And they've got, each of them can produce hundreds of millions of vaccines per year.
Yeah.
And so there is obviously an intention to create a dependency on this thing.
Yeah.
Are the deaths a sort of collateral damage, or do you think that it's intentional reducing the population?
I don't know. If it was reducing population, it doesn't seem to have done a lot.
Yeah.
I think we're maybe talking tens of millions at most.
Yeah.
My theory is that I had one this morning. It was a new one. It was quite good. I'm not going to remember it on the spot. That's the problem. I don't know. It's just
take your time. It'll come to you. Well, for me, there is if you were going to cause mass death and it all happened in the same month or the same year, you would be overwhelmed trying to manage that, and you would give the game away. Whereas possibly the slow burn to a stasis where we're used to people living to 60 or 70 and then already dying with some kind of incurable illness, is the way that it's kind of done more. I know obviously we're seeing young people drop over, so I'm mindful of that. But I think there's a longer term agenda in play here. Did you come across the Georgia Guidestones in your research?
Yeah.
Okay, so that says 500 million people. So,
But it's how they do it. I don't know how they're going to do it. That's the thing.
well, I mean, we think about there having been like worldwide floods every few hundred years, maybe every half a millennia,
Yeah.
and there's a grand cleansing of the population. But I think before that they have to use this technology. Before that, they have to use this technology somehow. There's a purpose to it, a creating a cyborg human, something like that.
Yeah.
But maybe your theory is better.
I can't remember what it was, but it'll come back to me at some point.
Okay. No worries. What's your name?
Kieran.
Kieran, I'm Dave. Nice to meet you. Can I offer you one of my flyers, Kieran?
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know which pocket I put them in now. We are electromagnetic beings, Kieran, in my view, you know, and everything that's here, all of this is designed to rob us of the truth of who we are. That we are God expressing itself in a human form. That's the thesis in one sentence. We are God experiencing ourselves, or itself. I'm going to wander over that way,
Yeah,
Kieran.
yeah, same.
Do you need a hand or are you good there?
I'm used to it.
I'll leave my banner here for a little while.
They're protesting. Let's go.
Terror state of Israel, mainly women and children. There were 7 children amputated without...
Not quite, no. It's some new kit that I got and I haven't quite... So I'm recording, but I'm not able to get the live stream going.
Genocide taking place. This is a genocide that attacks and targets children and babies. I have seen countless images of dead babies and children. Enough is enough. It's time to protect the most vulnerable amongst us all. Let's remember that Israel, in their parliament, debated whether making the rape of Palestinians should be made legal. They debated this in their parliament. This is what we're standing against. Child killers and rapists. Enough is enough. We want a lasting, permanent, full ceasefire, not a temporary one. We want the murder of innocent civilians to end immediately and completely. Children need to be protected. Take a look at the pictures around you. These are real children. Babies and children murdered by the terror state of Israel. And all who are silent, all who support Israel are complicit. They have blood on their hands. I hope they can live with themselves. Because I hope that when they go to sleep at night, all they see is the screaming and the blood on these children. I hope they see them images in their head. Because that is a reality the parents of these children are living with. Over 17,000 children in Palestine are unoccupied. That means they have lost either one or both parents. Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine! Stop killing babies!
Do you mind me asking you a quick question? Now, I studied the Bible quite a bit when I was young. And it really gave me a sense that the Jewish people were the chosen people. Yeah, did you ever get that sense that the Bible...
They were the chosen people, but did they fulfill their criteria? because everything that God does is conditional. So to set the platform, God placed Adam in the garden, didn't he?
Yeah.
But he could stay there on condition that he was obedient. He was disobedient, he was cast out. So Israel is chosen people to be a light to the world. If you go to Isaiah 49, he says, I have chosen you to be a light to the Gentiles. But were they a light? They weren't. And so you'll find Jesus presenting all the parables, stories about Israel and how they failed.
Now, as a man of probably African or South American origin, what kind of God do you think would create a situation where these white-looking people were the only ones that were going to be given this light, and then they would then in their kind have to spread it to people who somehow didn't have that light? And for me, the African has as much light as any other man on earth. And so for me, I think that the Bible could have been misinterpreted on purpose so as to give certain people control over other people. Even when I grew up in South Africa, I had a Bible teacher who said, well, it says in the Bible that the black people are meant to be our slaves. That's quite a shocking kind of thing to say, right? But people can find that kind of text in that. And I know that the Jews, the strict Jews, will say that the Goyim, the cattle, the people that are not us, they are to be treated like second-class citizens in a way, just to simplify
so
it. So I don't see God in that. I see man's control.
And you're right, but that doesn't mean that God doesn't work through man. So the question is this. Christianity, you see a lot of white people bring Christianity to Africans, but Christianity was already there. If you go into Acts, you'll see that Philip was told to go to the Ethiopian eunuch.
Book of Enoch.
Yeah, and he was reading Isaiah 53, and when he says, look, what hinders me to be baptized? He brought Christianity down to Ethiopia.
What if it was the other way, brother?
What?
Christianity came out of Ethiopia. What if it was?
No, it could have been that. What I'm trying to say is that, but he was in the Middle East and he brought Christianity down there. So the West cannot use the fact that they brought Christianity to the black nation. It was already there.
Yeah, well, I think there's a lot of value in the concept that actually, like the out of Africa evolution story, that actually a lot of the sort of knowledge, the gnosis, the tribal, the gnosis of nature came out of those places like Africa. The Meru people in Tanzania, they talk about having the original story down there, So I give them a lot of, I give those groups. So what I think is that to keep the conversation short, I think is that man has used words to control God's creation, that we are all equal, and the idea that you put somebody else on a pedestal is a mistake. Jesus warns against that. Take no idols. And so what we've done is, in our minds, we've created this pedestal. In South Africa, in apartheid, even black people put white people on a pedestal. Some, not all, but they would have gone, but they are superior to us. They would have believed that stuff. Some would say, no. But others would say, they are superior to us, and we should listen to them when they tell us what to do. In fact, the Africans will tell me when I've been doing street activism, and then they'll say, but the Bible says, listen to your government. Well, your government, whether it be the apartheid government or the existing government that makes you stay at home and put a mask on your face and not trust God's going to give you an immune system, that same government is trying to control you no matter its color.
That's true, but you're going to see in Romans 30 when he says listen to the government, only when the government is doing what God's will is. Once the government moves away from the will of God, you don't have to follow it. So to me, these arguments are not solid.
Well, are you aware that the banking system is a cartel designed to rob countries and people of their energy? Are you aware of that?
I agree with you 100%.
So the government is part of, any government in the world which has got a Federal Reserve Bank, is part of that same collusion by perhaps the same people who consider themselves to be God's chosen people. Same collusion and control. Therefore, there is no government in the world today that is legitimate other than your own. The governor of the mental, of the mind, is up to you. And I think that what we do is we give away control to an exterior force. It could be Jesus, but it could also be government. And I think that we should be our own government, our own masters. And that's what God wants from his chosen people.
I kind of disagree, because I'm saying to you, I don't believe in giving away my will to no government, no other man.
Yeah.
But when it comes to God's word, because he's the creator and he has the authority, then I'm willing to yield my opinion to the will of God. So when God says that, what's he say? He says that man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth. The principle is that God knows what's best for us.
Yeah, not man.
Not man.
So I that's where you see, I mean, you must know the book of Enoch, right?
Yeah.
You must know that. So you know that the 66 books that we read in the Bible today are not the full story.
Well, the question that you need to ask then is this. Have you heard of the Tanakh?
Yeah, I have. I wouldn't tell you what it is.
All right, the Tanakh is it's like an umbrella, yeah? And that what falls under the Tanakh is the Torah, the Psalms, and the Prophets. 3 categories. Do you know that not one of them mentioned the book of Enoch? That was in the Jewish time. So the Tanakh, the law of Moses mentions the first 5 books, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Deuteronomy, and Numbers. That's fine. Then you got the prophets, 1st, 2nd Kings. Then you got Ezekiel, Jeremiah, and all of the prophets. And then under the writings, which they call Psalms, you get the minor prophets, which is Daniel, Ecclesiastics, and all of this. Do you know that the book of Enoch is never mentioned? Question, do you know when the book of Enoch was written? 168 BC, yeah? So it's not a book that the Jews used. Historically, the person who wrote it has things that he knows about the history. But in the book of Enoch, it teaches this contrary to the word of God. In chapter 7 of the book of Enoch, it says that the sons of God saw the daughters of men, and they came down and married them, and it implies that the sons of God are angelic beings marrying human beings. Genesis never teaches that. Genesis breaks the world up into 2 groups: sons of God, referring to a believer, and a daughter of man, believing to a non-believer. They came together, human beings, a believer and a non-believer came together, and their offsprings were anti-God. So I've got the book of Enoch, and I've got to have it because I'm showing you, I can show you things in there that go contrary to the Bible. So that's why I reject it. Historically, there's some things in there that I can't deny. The person who wrote it, and then there's another book of Enoch written in AD 100. So which one are we using? It's not.
No, there is doubt, and as I say to people, like if I lived in a part of the world where there was no printing press, we don't have to go back long before there were billions of people or hundreds of millions of people who had no access to information written of any sort.
So it was oral tradition.
So it was oral tradition, and oral tradition in say tribal or indigenous communities was about sharing knowledge about nature, about the natural order and our place inside of that natural order. And
but the only danger with that is that Romans says when they knew God. So let's go back to tribal order. When they knew God, they desired to not know him and made the image of God into 4 beasts and living creatures. So they moved away from a knowledge of God. That's why I will look at oral traditions, but once I see like a hint of sun worship or moon worship or sacrificing of your children, I'm moving away.
Then why do you follow Jesus? That's sun worship.
No,
Jesus is sun worship.
No, he's not.
Yeah, I think so. That's why they always put a sun behind his head. Any image
that's Catholicism.
Any image of him. Was he white or brown?
He was of colour. He couldn't have been white.
He couldn't have been white in,
he couldn't
in that part of the world, right?
Pagan worship in the times of before Jesus, they used to worship on the hills and in the groves, and in early morning, they used to watch the sunrise, come up and worship the sun. So the issue is, Jesus, the Bible tells us that Jesus is the Son of righteousness. What the devil has done is replace the sun as a means of worship more than the Son of righteousness.
Yeah. Okay.
And early morning worship, that's why Jesus rose on a Sunday morning, to show those pagans that when you worship the rising of the sun, no, you're to worship me who rose, who has eternal life.
You know that on the 24th of December or the 25th, the sun begins its 6-month journey back into
equinox.
Cancer?
Yeah.
No, equinox is yesterday.
Yeah.
That was equal night and day.
Yeah.
But at the other one, at Christmas, the sun is furthest away from us in the northern hemisphere, and it sits for 3 days in that position before it starts to rise back up. It's called the analema. It takes a year to make this figure of H shape over our head. And so when I look at, when I cast a critical eye on what I think is buried, because religion is not just what you see in the front text. There is hidden meaning for those people that are willing to go there. And so I think what they actually try to do is to hide pagan worship inside Christianity. That's what I see more. So I don't deny Jesus or even Muhammad. I'm not saying that these men didn't walk and have a great message for mankind. But I do think that they were saying, you need to be the power, turn over the Sanhedrin. Do not follow these teachings of these these people and their business of profiting, making profits out of money and so on, and taking their pound of flesh. So that's what I think.
I do agree with you that at the moment, the vast majority of things that Christians believe come from pagan sources, and to me, the only way that you can distinguish between what is pagan and what is not is through a knowledge of God's word. Then you can rightfully make a decision to remove yourself from that. Revelations 18 says, come out of her, my people. So people are in false religions, but God is asking them to come out. But how are you going to come out if you don't know what is false?
Do you believe you live on a spinning globe?
Yeah, I don't believe in a flat earth.
So that's a false belief. If I may challenge you on that, I think that's a false belief. The Bible has got 200 verses that infer or suggest that the earth is not moving, set upon pillars, that the waters were separated from the waters, and there's an expanse, that God set it out like a tabletop, and that he's got winds, 4 corners of winds coming in. All of that stuff is how God created. And in fact, your reality when you observe it is that water is always level. Water is always going to find level. You're told that the ship is going away and it's now over the horizon. But actually we can bring that in with a zoom camera, or if you go to a high elevation, you can see that ship again. So what we're taught is a belief in something that is false. It's a false idol. This idea that we live on a globe and that we evolve.
So what, you're a flat earth?
No, I'm God's spokesman. I speak for God, and I do not need to be on a flat earth. I think we're inside of whatever God created. And if you want to say it's a globe, it's that we're inside of a globe, not on the outside of a ball. You see,
I don't think we're on the outside. I think we're inside of a sphere. But the issue for me is this: when the Bible talks about that God created the heavens, that expanse, and then he created the earth. So I'm talking about it's called height, depth, and width.
So when you go to 6,000 years ago and you're writing about the earth, you can't get anywhere up to, if there's a roof here, it's 100 kilometers or higher. It's well up there. That's what our flat earth sort of research concludes, is that we can't get more than 100 kilometers high. No rocket, no nothing has ever been more than 100 kilometers high. So that is an expanse. If we were ants inside of a football stadium, the roof would be such an expanse, so far away we can't even see it. So I think that we're all inside of an enclosed system. Thermodynamics demands that if you want a pressure system, you must enclose it. You can't have a vacuum and a non-vacuum side by side. There would be equalization of pressure instantly. So what God created for us was a perfect Eden for us to come and enjoy and experience it. Experience God.
In your understanding, where is the sun and the moon and the stars in that sphere?
As it says in Genesis, he placed them inside the firmament. Inside the firmament. So they are inside or within
Genesis
the firmament.
doesn't say that.
I seem to recall it being something along those lines. I might be paraphrasing.
What he says is that he created heavens and the earth, and then he created two great lights.
Yeah.
One to rule the day and one to rule the
So
night.
what is a light? A light is a light. Can we agree that a light is a light?
Light is energy.
Yeah. So a dead stone is not a light.
No.
So the claim that the moon is a dead stone cannot be true.
Now, what can be true is that when it was created, it gave light.
Well, it still gives light.
No, it borrows its light now from the sun.
Well, you know, scientists have proven that the moonlight is cold. That actually, unlike the sun, where you heat up in the sunlight, the opposite happens in the moonlight. This has been proven scientifically.
But if you go to Isaiah 30, it tells you that in that day, and that day is when God recreates everything, it says that the moon shall be as the light of the sun, and the sun shall be sevenfold. So the light of the moon has been diminished. And the question is, why was it diminished? Because this is my understanding. You've got sun, moon, and then, like you said, you got the earth, and you had water divided from water. So you got water on the earth, but you had water above, and that filtered out the UV rays that would come from the sun, and that made Earth a tropical place.
Have you ever been in a swimming pool, bro?
Yeah.
So when you're in the bottom of the swimming pool, can you feel the heat of the sun? No. And even the light that comes through the water is not like lying on the beach, where
No,
it's
it's
just
not.
like
It's not.
like that at all. So the idea that the sunlight is coming through water and then creating this perfect sphere again, that can't be demonstrated.
No, but the issue is this: the sun on its own, where there's radiation, it filtered it, it made the Earth a tropical place. At the flood, that water that was in the expanse fell on the earth.
Yeah.
And so there's no water up there anymore.
So if God was creating an earth, would he use physics that was stuff that we could understand?
No, not necessarily.
I would say that if you can't demonstrate how water is going to now fall from the sky and wrap itself around a ball, rather than I'm saying we're on a lake and the water's going to fall from and it's going to fill the lake up by 10 inches or whatever. But you're saying, well, the claim from mainstream science is that no, you can't test this, but water's going to just fall onto the ball and then evenly distributed it by 10 inches around the surface of that sphere. That's not reality, bro. If you believe that,
Isaiah 55 says, my ways are not your ways, my thoughts are not your thoughts. You are now using the premises that because God hasn't explained it to you in a logic that we can understand, it can't happen. I disagree.
Okay. But if you were a child and you'd never been to school and you lived in the Amazon jungle or something like that, you're 12 years old and someone came and told you that the earth was a ball, you would probably laugh at them. Because you'd go, look, everything I can see here is just every body of water I've ever been on is level unless the river is running down the mountain.
Yeah, but it's like when I was growing up, they told us that the cow flew over the moon. Now, when I've got old, they say the man's gone to the moon. I don't believe it.
You don't believe that? Good.
No, I don't. So what my issue is this: the Genesis account makes it clear that there was water divided from the water, but that water fell. Where did the water come from at the flood? Remember?
Underwater geysers, underground geysers, underground geysers. That's what they say are. No, from underground. We have got aquifers of water.
No.
Earth is maybe 75% water. Yeah.
Look.
Buses, just go away. Go away. Yes, you are.
Not just the deep was opened up, the heavens were opened up.
Yes, I agree with that too.
So the question is, where did the water from the heavens? Because he says the fountains of the deep burst open.
I got no problem.
We got no problem with that.
So where but where you and I are different, brother, is that I say that it has to fall on a flat surface, not onto a ball. That's all. And I'm saying it's coming up underground on a flat plane of existence or plane of inertia. It's coming from underground. Listen, there is only one down and there's only one up.
Yeah, but you see, the clouds, God made a perfect ecosystem that when rain falls, it drops, it goes to some part of the other planet, comes up by vapor and falls somewhere
Beautiful.
else.
And now that's a square environment. That doesn't work in the ball. And if you take they do across the oceans, they'll do like a cut through from Europe to America, and you can follow the depth of the ocean from England all the way to New York, and you'll find that, gosh, it goes down to to about 2 miles at the deepest, and then it goes up 2 miles, and that the sea level between England and America is the same. And then when you take a bicycle route and you do a cross section of all of America, 3,000 miles, you'll find that, gosh, I start at 0 here at the west coast, east coast, and I go up 2,000 meters and I come down 2,000 meters. Everything, brother, is level in our reality. What you were given as a child was this belief that no, God just allowed for a random Big Bang and billions of years to transpire.
I don't believe in Big Bang.
Well, then if you don't believe in Big Bang, you can't believe in the globe, because the globe and the Big Bang are totally intertwined. Creation and a flat earth with an enclosed system is what you see in nature. Brother, show me one fruit, one living thing that has no skin, no bark, no peel, no shell. One thing in God's creation.
No, that is not the argument we're having. The argument and discussion that we're having is simply in the Genesis account makes it clear that there is a creator.
Oh, absolutely. I'm not no problem with that.
And we either take his definition of creation or not.
He never wrote that book, brother. He never wrote that book.
Under inspiration, Moses wrote.
But he did say he stopped the sun for 3 days, didn't he? And he did say that I created the earth unmoving. And in Job 42, he says, I pressed it out like a stamp, a seal. And so when you press a seal on a letter or whatever, what do you get? You get a flat surface with upturned edges around the outside.
In Job 38, listen to this.
Yeah, you're very good at the Bible, but I know that
Job 38, listen to this.
Yeah.
Job is a bit delusional. Hello, how are you? And he says, look,
I want to know about Christ.
I'll speak to you in a bit. Listen. Then the Lord answered Job out of the whirlwind and says, who is this that darkeneth counsel by words without knowledge? So he's asking Job, look, you're coming at me with no counsel or no knowledge. So listen how I'm going to respond to you. Gird up now thy loins like a man, for I will demand of thee and answer thou me. So God is saying, look, all right, I'm going to put some questions to you. Answer me. Listen. Where was thou when I laid the foundations of the earth? Declare if thou hast understanding. Who has laid the measure thereof? If thou knowest, or who has stretched the line upon it? Whereupon are the foundations thereof fastened, or who laid the cornerstone thereof? So God is questioning, and if you go through this, it talks about the heavens and everything. So I'm saying to you, from a biblical perspective, God is the creator, and nowhere does he present a flat earth.
Well, when you say the cornerstone and the foundations, all of those are building references, yeah?
Yes.
We never build spheres. My brother, I've got to go. Here's my flyer. I really have enjoyed our conversation.
Thank you.
I wish you well.
All right.
All the best. God be with you.